What are we doing? Good evening, Melrosians the world over. I'm Tom Catalini.
I'm Sam Hammer.
And that's it. This just us chickens here, as they say. This is Let's Talk Melrose. Melrose. It's a show where Melrosians talk to Melrosians about Melrose, our favorite topic. Sam, I was off last week, and so was Tom Shampoo. You and Linda did an awesome job. It was a pleasure to watch, and of course, you pulled in the ringer, Nancy Clover, who is always a crowd favorite and knows more than we'll ever know about Melrose. And all the happenings.
Oh my gosh. Thank goodness. Thanks again, Nancy, for coming on because, we try to pay attention. We have our research team.
And she's out in the streets, though. She's out in the streets. She's with the people. She's doing the write-ups. She's posting. She's everywhere.
I think was it on the show that we convinced her or talked to her about having a Clover corner in the paper?
No, I don't remember that. I think we were going to pit her against Raj Das.
Yes. For a weekend.
Some kind of Melrose coverage contest. And we're going to have some guests today that also cover the city and protect the city in some important ways. So stay tuned for that.
Yep. Our police chief, Kevin Fallia. And I think I'm pronouncing that right for sure. And Officer Dale Parsons are in the green room and ready to talk about their new podcast and other things that are going on.
Yeah.
Can you hear my Alexa going off?
Alexa, what's it? What do you
stop? We're baking something over here.
Okay. All right. We'll look forward to that little treat after the show.
Well, I also have to give a mention to Shane Egan, who has the Old Time Melrose Facebook group. If you're not in there, it's really great. Over the weekend, somebody posted about their childhood home, which is the one I currently live in. And we've been going back and forth since the weekend about, where did this stair, because we have a dummy door, where did that used to go and how many bathrooms? And this used to be a Lyle home. And there were 14 or 15 of them living here at one time. He said they had enough hot water for 2 tubs. One bathroom. And then I don't know if you remember, former Chief Mike Lyle grew up on Bartlett Street. So so there were like 500 Lyles running around here in our neighborhood at one point.
Oh, wow.
So, So cool. Shout out to Steve. Fast. Yeah, it was really cool. So I did invite them to come over and hang out in their house. Yeah.
I was going to say, you're going to let them back in. That's the question. Can we come back in and check it out?
Yeah.
That's always fun. Actually, I'm spacing on the name of not the people we bought the house from, but the people before that were longtime residents. And so, all the folks who grew up in the neighborhood, you often hear from them and get to talk to them. Marie Ryan used to live across the street in Bill Butler's house, and their kids grew up on the street. And so I'll run into Neil or somebody, and you get to hear the stories of the old neighborhood and whose house was having the good parties and all that stuff. It's fun. So it's cool.
It was good. So I love that. So definitely join that Facebook group if you're not already there.
So listen, Sam, I got a little treat for you because we were away last week and I was with some people and we were having an enjoyable time. And it was sort of in many ways kind of an artist retreat, and we met some other artists, and we had a drawing done. And what I want to do is show you the drawing and have you identify each person that's in it.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to cover part of it, and then I'm going to start on one end.
Oh my God. That's Tom Shampoo.
How did you know that?
I know that it's the eyebrows. It's the facial structure.
Oh my God. That's the one that the least looks like him. Okay. Now he is next to who?
Looks like Cerise, but he doesn't wear that hat. John Cerise?
Not John Cerise. Somebody you know well. Somebody
That's
you
definitely-
admire. Somebody you admire and respect quite a bit.
Oh,
It's a,
I was
it's
gonna
a
say
gentleman who's funny, handsome, gets and deserves your admiration and respect.
Is it my husband, John?
Oh my
No.
God, does your husband wear glasses?
No.
It's somebody who you co-host with.
Tom? Is it the other Tom? That can't be you.
What do you mean the other Tom? This is me.
That's definitely not you.
This gentleman was an expert artist. How can you?
It's a little. You've got a little Popeye and Run DMC going on at the same time.
That's the hat I was wearing. All right, let's see if you can guess the
God.
third gentleman.
Oh, that's Dugan. That was easy.
Right, pretty easy. All right, now let's see if you can guess this gentleman on the end.
Oh, that's so John Hammer. Oh, why is he so sad? Is he missing me? He's
because
missing me.
the artist looked into our souls, and this is I think you want to give that man a hug and a cup of warm tea, please.
I think yours is definitely the farthest off. Shampoos looks a little like a Seinfeld character.
Maybe.
The other two I nailed. That was easy.
But why is everybody happy except this guy on the end? And he's completely where is it? He's having his picture taken on a great weekend away, and this is how he expresses himself.
I can't believe I didn't see this sooner.
Well, that might have been intentional. I don't know.
Okay. Whew.
Anyway, all
right. On to the news. That was amazing.
Yes. All right. Let's get to the news.
Do I have to do this thing?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Okay. I guess they're about to drop off if we don't hustle through this craziness. All right. So first, we got to give a quick shout out to our friend of the show, Kathy Vines, for making her mark in Real Simple magazine for basics. There she is listed in there. Meet the experts. That's super cool. So congratulations, Kathy.
All right. Awesome.
And then, okay, we got to talk about trash, but we're going to plow through it really quickly. So trash has been, they have to have a new contract for trash collection. The city hasn't raised its rates in nearly 20 years. Do you know how much you pay for trash?
I thought we had this debate in the city in recent years. I'm surprised that it hasn't been raised in 20 years. Do I know how much I pay? I have no idea.
So back in, I believe it's around $200 a year. So back in 2021.
Okay, that sounds right.
For sure. Yep. So the city is entering a new trash and recycling collection and disposal contract on July 1st of this year. So the fees are increasing, and it could alter the frequency of recycling.
Okay.
So the city issued a survey. I'm going to put the whole information up there, the whole page right now, where you can go fill out the survey. But the city wants to know, going from $200 or so a year, would you rather have the increase go to $370 for biweekly recycling, weekly trash, but biweekly recycling, or $430 for weekly recycling a year?
I reject that premise of the question. Why is it almost doubling? That's a crazy jump.
They're saying that this since 2012, the last contract or so, I believe that's what they wrote, or the fees have nearly doubled since then. So the cost has doubled. As you know, the cost of services just goes up. That's what it does. Yeah. So here's where we are. City is going to provide the trash and recycling bins.
Okay, now tell me about this, because I'm on the community page, and one citizen pointed out, and I think she did okay at this. She's like, hey, when the guys dump the barrels, they're kind of throwing them in the street. maybe blocking the driveway, kind of not just putting them back where they got them. And I thought she did an okay job posting this. Of course, became a whole irate back and forth about how she posted it, what she said, people in defense of the DPW, people critiquing, on and on. But I thought, in that, are you saying that they're going to replace the barrels and have a machine come instead?
Yep. Well, it'll be one of those trucks that like picks it up and just dumps it. Yes, it'll be like
what
that.
What happens to those guys' jobs?
I don't know. I think there'll be some people, obviously, with the truck still. The barrels will be bigger, so they're going to go to 64 gallon for trash, which right now you can't have more than 40 something gallons. It's a hired out contractor. Yes. Our resident DPW expert, Melissa Vini, is reminding us.
I thought a lot of this was hired out along with the recycling a while ago, so that I think for a variety of reasons we didn't have to buy the equipment and all that stuff. But that's interesting. So if people want to weigh in on this, where's the discussion happening, or is it already too late?
It's not already too late. You have until February 1st, which hasn't happened yet.
Next week.
The survey's been out for about a week. I just put a link to the page where you can go and get more information. I do really appreciate that I did find this the survey in the community group, and somebody from the city is actively responding to each comment around, this is a great question. We'll put the answer on the page. So if you just go there and check out and see what great question, we'll have the answers coming up on the page, and so on and so on. So, but if you decide, if we end up with weekly recycling, which would be my choice, if I could it's what I voted for anyway. Both bins would be, I believe, the 64 gallon bins. The totes, which are adorable, I have to say.
Yeah,
those are the trash cans I'd love to have.
Honestly, I'd like to learn more, because I feel like that's a trick question, and I want to know why the fees are doubling, why we're going to an automated solution, what happens to those jobs. I have to say, like, I've been in Melrose 25 years almost, and I have an affinity for the trash pickup. It's always just been a great service, and it's sort of amazing the stuff you can throw away in the trash, and it's pretty convenient when you have to deal with other things. So the only problem I've had is I've had to switch to World War II era steel cans, because the raccoons get into anything else I have. That's my only critique. So it's not really with the folks providing the service as much as it is with the raccoons.
Well, I did price out a 96 gallon plastic one, just in case, if we go to bi-weekly recycling, this is the mothership right here that the city would be providing. It's a big one.
All right. The key question is, and we have to get to our guest, but can I put my old trash barrel in that trash barrel if I have to make the transition?
Somebody asked that too. They may have like a rigid plastics recycling, but the other thing I did, yes.
Oscar, I give Oscar the Grouch level stuff.
I think that's good for the costume shop. So what I also did was I did look up what else can you toss at your city yard. So there's a link there to the other things that you can put. You could bring to the DPW city yard for a cost or for free, and on special days. So I found that really handy, because I haven't looked at that ever.
Yeah, it's great. City yard's great. Very easy to deal with, getting rid of stuff over there. Except trash. The trash they have to come and get. You can't dump your own trash, because that's not where it goes.
Well, it'll be interesting to talk about hours of DPW opening, et cetera. But
yeah. All right. So what else is going on? You got the beer garden maybe this weekend. That's at Memorial Hall from 1 to 9, and you pay a few bucks for a ticket to get you a sausage, a beer, and entry for 1 to 9 p.m. So it's a full 8-hour shift is on offer for those who are ready to have some fun.
Yep. Don't forget the preliminary concert right after that. And they're going to have a double header show at 5 and 8. And I learned all of this by going to the Creative Alliance events calendar, where if you wanted to go to a French brunch or make pasta at the kitchen in the next week, that's where you go find out about that too.
Oui.
That was pretty great. What a great place to live.
All right. Let's get to the guests.
Okay. So with us tonight, we have our Melrose Police Department Chief and Officer Dale Parsons. Thank you for joining us tonight. So as we talked about before the show started and also on the show, we scour the internet a lot for things that are going on in this community and happened upon a podcast that the police department started. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So thanks for having us on, number one. Any press is good press, right, to get our podcast out. We won't broadcast opposite this fancy show. We don't have all this technology and cutaways and everything.
Not yet.
But yeah, brand new podcast. It's called Behind the Badge, Melrose Edition. Launched our first episode a couple weeks ago, and then we're looking to do probably twice a month is the goal. Hopefully we can get good feedback, good ideas from the community. And came to Dale and Andrew Ruby, who's one of our other officers on our social media team, had come to me with the idea. And then I was down at MTV. You all know Patrick. He was excellent, brought up that idea as well. And I said, let's get it done. So feedback was good on show number 1. Hopefully 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 keep going.
Great.
Yeah. So we are at LTMM is at episode 197. So I would offer
you have some work to do.
Well, I was going to say I would offer you some tips and advice. However, I listened to episode 1 of your podcast, and it is excellent. So, just the structure, the cadence. I mean, just very, very well done. So, who among you, and both of you were on the podcast, and I think another officer. Who's the guru who knows how to put a show together? Because it was really, really good.
Oh, that was all Chief.
I give credit to Patrick. Listen, there's never a microphone I'm going to shy away from. So I'm relatively comfortable, of course, with the position I'm in, to be in front of an audience. It's what I do. And the ultimate goal is I talked to Dale and Andrew and sent it out department-wide recently. It's their podcast. It's not my podcast. It's the community's podcast, but really it's the police department's podcast. So I technically probably hosted episode 1, Dale, out of the 3, kind of led it. But from here on in, I want Dale and Andrew to run it, and he's got great topics coming up. Of course, they'll run everything by me, and I'm like the smash it. It's okay. But
are you like the Perry White editor in the office, and they can bring
I'm kind of like Lorne Michaels in a way.
Okay,
everything goes through me.
Well, Chief, you did a great job hosting, kept the conversation going. Dale, we learned about your background on the podcast, which was interesting, how you started out in education. And we were talking about this before the show. And really, in that first podcast, it was fascinating because at first I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to this. Then it's like, about how to become a police officer or whatever. And I was like, I don't know, is this podcast for me? Like, maybe it's about police stuff. But as it goes on, it's like, oh no, this is really learning about the members of the police force in our community, the whole civil service exam, the police academy, the training, and all the protocols you go through, and the sort of ranking based on, the prioritization among candidates, including for having lived or maybe living in the community you're applying to and all of that. So I would highly recommend this to folks to listen to and check out. Your first one was probably, 15 or 20 minutes. It wasn't super long, but it was jam-packed. Got to hear some interviews of the officers, got to hear about becoming an officer, which wasn't a topic I would have guessed at, but I really enjoyed it and got a lot out of that. So Dale, who have you done more episodes since then, or is it just episode 1?
We haven't done any more episodes. We do have, I think, 5 scheduled out, mapped out. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get in there and start recording some more episodes.
Nice.
And you have the topics already? What are they going to be?
Yeah. So next, we're hoping to have Detective Reardon on to speak about mental health. He is our mental health detective, and he works with a clinician from Elliott Mental Health Services that we split with Stoneham PD. So we're hoping that they will come on, or probably just Detective Reardon, and speak about the growing number of mental health calls that we're receiving. I actually have CIT training. It's a mental health training for first responders. I start that tomorrow. So we'll talk about that, hopefully. and go from there.
Can
That's
you give
great.
us a preview of the other ones you sketched out?
So the other ones, I was trying to pull it up on my email, but I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah, so we would. I think one of them was we were going to bring our 2 K9 officers on.
Yeah.
One
Oh,
that,
cool.
talk about the training that goes into that. Then we were going to do one was I was really excited about, Dale. I think that might have been, I don't know whose idea it was, but it was excellent. Featuring, hopefully we get the cooperation, Dale. I don't know if you talked to them yet, but featuring
I know
the
where you're
women,
going. Yes.
the women and the women on our job, and
Right.
the different challenges that face women in law enforcement, and the specific traits, like we talked about, Dale, with his master's degree. And that's one thing I'm very proud of when I came onto this job is the diverse educational background and life experiences that we have. We have some very highly educated police officers, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the podcast, to sort of shed that stereotypical old-time view of a dumb cop walking down the street with a stick. That times have changed, and so we're going to highlight women officers, and there was another one on there. Talk about the Junior Police Academy and some of the junior
Absolutely. Junior
youth
Police Academy and
training
Rad.
things we have coming up with Sergeant McIntosh and Officer Barranco. But more importantly, Tom, you hit it on the head. We want to really delve into, that's why it's called Behind the Badge. It's not really a novel name, but like we're people too, right? We have hobbies. We live in the community, and we want people to learn about us more as people rather than just the badge.
It's great. And then did you hear that, Sam? They plan episodes in advance.
Well,
I'm going to be down there taking notes. I'm going to be listening to this podcast, and we're going to be getting advice from you guys. So
I mean, you got to be nimble and ready for news.
that's
as it
true.
happens.
That's true.
So-
We're like an improv crew that's ready. So if you ever do have an urgent need to fill in a slot, we could maybe jump in and
Love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
tell you
That's
something
great.
like that.
Do you have a vision of citizens coming on and interviewing you about things that are more common questions that we may have?
I think what we want to do first is get through all of the great stuff and people that we have in the department and really educate the public on Melrose Police, and then reach out to our community partners.
Awesome.
And so where can people get this podcast? So mmtv3.org definitely is one place. Are there other places? It looks like it's published on SoundCloud, maybe.
Yeah, we'll have to grow with that. So Patrick's been great at MMTV. That's the only two, MMTV, and then he posts the SoundCloud link. Hopefully we can learn a little bit more on the technology side and grow it.
And then on that podcast you were talking about, and I think, Dale, you were maybe one of the folks and another gentleman who's on the podcast mentioned other things with social media. So can you tell us a little bit? Are there other efforts for outreach or things like that? Or are you guys just starting down that path?
So about a year ago, Chief asked myself and Officer Ruby to run our social media accounts. So right now we have a Facebook, Instagram, and I think we have a Twitter, but we don't use it much. So we're mainly
I do. You guys don't have access yet.
Yeah.
I'm still holding that card.
So we're Officer Ruby and I are mainly on Facebook and Instagram, but that's where we're learning a lot of how to use those platforms. I wasn't a big social media user. I was more just looking at other people's stuff. But now I've learned quite a bit on how to use different platforms, different apps. So it's been a learning experience, but it's been fun.
Yeah, I think we're all learning in a way. And, to be a social media expert or whatever was sort of a thing, but that feels passe to me. I think it's just people kind of finding their way and doing their thing. A lot of it's kind of noisy and not that useful. So you probably have an advantage just trying to communicate where you're trying to communicate and finding your way there, because a lot of the stuff that tries to be whatever, I don't know what they're trying to do, is some of the less interesting stuff. And like I said, this podcast was surprising to me because it was really interesting. And that's just not what I was expecting. But it wasn't trying to be anything other than what you all are talking about, trying to communicate, get to know the police force and some of the individuals as people and all of that. And that totally worked. And that's better than, I don't know what you would aspire to do. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that gets legs even outside of Melrose, just because it's kind of authentic,
Yep.
and other things aren't sort of necessarily like that. So
Well, the first post that we put out for the podcast, it had over 64,000 impressions,
wow.
which I sent a picture of when it hit 50,000. I sent a picture to Chief and Ruby. I said, I can't believe this.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's so cool.
I think it freaked Ruby out, but
Those things can go far pretty fast. Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to more, and let us know how we can be helpful if you ever need, I don't know, a sketch artist or
Now that I was actually thinking about that. Whoever that person was, that would be hilarious. Can you send me that? If we could get him or her down to the station and do some caricatures of the
right. So can you
Yes.
describe what the criminal
Yes.
gang looked like?
Oh, no, I meant of us, of the police department, of our people.
I
But,
thought you
yeah,
meant, when
present that
I
in
come in
court.
and I go like, I didn't have my camera with
No.
me, but what did that gang
Right.
look like that attacked you? Well, I can sketch it
Yes.
out real quick. It looked like, who were those hooligans?
oh, he looks like Jon Stewart. Tom Shampoo looks like Jon Stewart in that picture. Yes, doesn't he? The guy.
I don't know. I think
Yes.
he doesn't. I think he just
Anyway.
doesn't at all look like Tom Shampoo.
Is Tom the one that looks like Kurt Russell? Is that the one that I said looked like Kurt Russell? Or do I have the wrong guy? I think he looks just like Kurt Russell.
Well, if that guy
It's
doesn't
just
look like Kurt Russell, then
Yeah,
it's the
he
other
does
Tom.
not. That's why I think I might have the wrong guy.
All right, let's not talk about
Yeah,
what handsome
sure.
people I don't look like. I think that's not- people
No,
are-
not you. The other Tom. Right.
Oh my goodness. Well, before we really go off the
Sure.
rails, I also wanted to thank you both again for your time and commitment on the public safety building project,
Yeah.
being on the committee and spending over 18
Huge.
months helping this community understand what it is that we need for our public safety infrastructure, staffing, how the buildings work, how this community works with it. So thank you again for doing that. And
thank you for your support.
yeah. And Chief, last time you were on with our own Eugenia Gibbons talking about the report that was coming out. So it was pre-debt exclusion vote. So I don't know if you have anything you either of you wanted to add about that whole process and
Yeah.
how the community.
And I know we have a little time left. I could talk for hours, so couldn't tell. But again, I'll say thank you to the community at large for the overwhelming support. 68% to 32%. That's amazing. And to get that done, and it's really a light at the end of the tunnel, and the tunnel doesn't end. It just keeps going because we're on the way up, and that's a huge part of our goal, my goal, taking the Melrose Police to sort of, I don't want to say the next level, because I walked into a great situation. The men and women we're doing a phenomenal job prior to that, but we're moving in an even better direction. So thank you to everybody. And that's this social media, the podcast thing. It all goes hand in hand. And it's not a calculated effort to get something in return from people. I just think we were lacking in the police profession, and certainly in Melrose, the police being visible, and other than just walking down the street. More social media presence, more shows like this that we're appreciative of, because when it comes to a vote like that, we already have dialogue with the community. It's not like you only see us when we want something. We're going to be there, all the time. So thank you to those who are watching, whoever's watching at some point, right? And to Dale and Eugenie and the rest of the crew that put it all together. I joined way late. I don't take credit for it.
And Dale, I think you were talking on episode 1 of the podcast there that that the building should be like sort of a morale boost.
Oh, absolutely.
For the department. You want to say anything more about that? Your perspective
Sure.
on that?
I mean, we have a very professional department as is, but a new station will bring another level to that professionalism. And the Medford chief, when we went and visited their new station, he actually mentioned that everything improved. I mean, they had a great department before, and then when they got the new station, he saw improvements in report writing. He saw improvements in casework. So I think that's what we have to look forward to.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great. I thought that was an interesting insight. And yeah, you just feel better, like
Yep.
going to work and doing your thing, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. And I'm so happy that the community is behind you in all of that. So we want you to have a professional workplace as well, and all the respect you deserve. So
Yeah,
Thank
new
you.
public safety buildings, new libraries coming, like things are looking up.
It's good stuff.
In the
New
community.
trash barrels.
It's good stuff.
Yes.
I don't know. I got to study this one, Chief.
New giant trash barrels.
I'll say this: I live in Wilmington now, and we have recycling every other week. And with 3 kids, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
That's not a pitch to anyone trying to. I'm just saying, from my experience, if I were my call, I would prefer every week.
I remember when this all began, and when our kids were small, we had way more recycling every week than trash. Yeah, it was overwhelming. But I got to study
We're also
this.
on a first name basis with Amazon drivers, so
Yeah.
I'm getting
Awesome.
in trouble.
Your wife
Yeah.
didn't do anything to deserve that.
We can hear you.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. Is there anything we missed or any last words you wanted to speak? We'll love to have you come back.
Absolutely.
Soon.
Absolutely. Thank you,
for having
Tom.
us.
Thank you, Sam, so much. Thank you, Dale, for coming out too.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, and I know it's late and past all of our bedtimes. So at the end, hold on, I'm almost ready. Because we're friends together. One thing that friends do is dance together. So we're gonna do that. You can turn the camera, Dale, and
I'm just going to pretend my screen is frozen.
That was me.
Right, you just go like.
but the other thing, we hope to see you around town. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. What?
Hey,
There you go. Good job, man.
Hey, nice. Hey.